If there were a test to measure thalassophobia, the fear of deep water, most of you watching would probably score in the 80 to 90% range. And trust me, by the end of this video, you'll understand why. Throughout history, especially in prehistoric times, the ocean has housed some of the largest, deadliest, and most horrifying creatures to ever exist. These were the kinds of creatures that could send you sprinting toward the afterlife at just the sight of them. And if you think the ocean is terrifying now, just imagine it 500 million years ago. Long before dinosaurs stomped across the earth, the sea was already home to some serious killers. Not exactly jaws and teeth yet, more like pincers, plates, and alien-looking mouths that could make your internals become your externals in just a matter of seconds. Meet Anomalocaris, basically the ocean's first boss fight. Anomalocaris lived during the Cambrian period, approximately 521 to 505 million years ago. Before sharks, before squid, before anything that would remotely trigger your thalassophobia, there was Anomalocaris. This thing was basically the founding father of ocean nightmares, the first creature to turn the sea into a hunting ground. Anomalocaris was about 3 feet long, which obviously doesn't sound massive by today's standards. But in the Cambrian seas, where most animals were the size of paperclips, this thing was an absolute unit. Not to mention, this prehistoric predator came fully loaded with nature's weirdest starter kit, and it wasn't just for show. Its limbs were nightmarish hooks, 12-inch-long barbed appendages lined with backward-facing spines, ensuring anything caught in their grip wasn't escaping alive. These things were basically prehistoric bear traps, perfect for clamping down on soft-bodied prey or even cracking through the armor of trilobites, sometimes. The mouth of Anomalocaris was a circular, rotating structure lined with over 30 overlapping serrated plates tucked beneath its head. It didn't chew, it pulverized, spinning and tearing through soft-bodied prey like a marine blender set to obliterate. This strange yet deadly feeding feature made Anomalocaris one of the most formidable predators of the Cambrian seas. But not only that, in a world where most animals were practically blind, Anomalocaris had some of the sharpest vision of its time, rivaling modern dragonflies, the world's most successful hunters, and golden eagles, which can spot prey from over a mile away. But it didn't just see well, it moved like a missile. With a sleek, flexible body and fin-like lobes lining its sides, it could hover, dart, and twist through the water with lethal precision. In summary, it was basically a giant terror with the eyes of a sniper and the attitude to match it. The emergence of Anomalocaris didn't just introduce thalassophobia, it triggered a top-down pressure across the entire marine food chain, forcing prey species to evolve better defenses, warming up the sea for something much bigger. Fast forward a few 100 million years, and we've got the Mosasaurus, basically a Komodo dragon the size of a bus, but with flippers and a death wish. During the late Cretaceous, the oceans were what most people referred to as Hell's Aquarium, and that was for a good reason. Everything in the ocean had one of two jobs: kill or not get killed. There was no in-between. And at the top of this underwater food chain was Mosasaurus, a 50-foot, 15-ton marine reptile that ruled the western interior seaway, a vast prehistoric sea cutting through North America. Armed with serrated, bone-crushing teeth and a bite force of up to 71,000 newtons, that's approximately 100 times the bite force of a human and over 4 times that of a saltwater crocodile, the strongest living biter today. But not only that, Mosasaurs, unlike many predators, refused to be picky. It ate sharks, turtles, plesiosaurs, other mosasaurs, even apex hunters like Siphacatus and Plioplatycarpus, plus the occasional land dino that wandered too deep into the ocean. And it gets worse, it always gets worse. Mosasaurus was one of the first truly global marine apex predators, terrorizing nearly everything it shared the water with. If you were alive during the late Cretaceous, the most dangerous thing in the sea was this. And I think it's safe to say that some, if not all the creatures that lived in the same ocean as this guy, had some form of thalassophobia. And as the Cretaceous faded into history, the reign of something even more terrifying was waiting in the depths. Dominating the seas from the Miocene to Pliocene, around 23 to 3.6 million years ago, was Megalodon, the ocean's ultimate apex predator. It measured 15 to 18 meters, 50 to 60 feet, and weighed up to 100 tons, as heavy as a blue whale's skeleton, and longer than 10 adult humans laid head to toe. Standing beside one would feel like facing a 6-story building that swims and bites, and it bit hard. Megalodon had the strongest bite force ever recorded, up to 180,000 newtons, about 10 times that of a great white shark, strong enough to crush a car or a whale's ribcage, which is exactly what it did. Fossils show snapped vertebrae and shattered whale bones, clear signs of carnage. If you were a marine animal back then, your best hope was cold isolation, like Antarctica, one of the few places Megalodon didn't bother visiting. Everywhere else was open season. While Megalodon ruled with sheer force, it wasn't the only giant prowling the Miocene seas. Sharing the same waters as Megalodon was a very different kind of killer, one with brains, brawn, and bone-crushing teeth. This was Livyatan melvillei, a prehistoric sperm whale that ruled the Miocene oceans around 9 to 10 million years ago. At about 13 to 17 meters long, 43 to 56 feet, and weighing up to 60 tons. And one thing is for sure, Livyatan was no gentle giant. Unlike modern sperm whales, which feed by suction, this beast came equipped with massive interlocking teeth, some reaching 36 centimeters, about 14 inches, longer than T-Rex teeth, and it knew how to use them. Livyatan hunted using a brutal ram and tear strategy, slamming into prey to stun it, then using its massive interlocking teeth to rip through your flesh and bone. Fossil evidence points to a diet packed with large marine mammals, everything from prehistoric seals and massive fish to other whales nearly its own size. But even with teeth like steak knives and skulls the size of a Mini Cooper, none of these beasts ever scared people. Because back then, there were no people to be terrified. Early humans didn't evolve until around 2.8 million years ago, long after giants like Megalodon and Livyatan had vanished. But this didn't mean the seas got any safer for anything or anyone. Fast forward a few million years, and evolution finally nudged us closer to the coastlines of prehistoric Africa and Southeast Asia, and that's when things got interesting. We began wading into rivers, crossing swamps, fishing in shallow bays, and unknowingly wandered straight into the kill zones of an entirely new class of predators. This is the actual beginning of Thalassophobia. Around 4 to 2 million years ago, in East Africa, the birthplace of humanity, lived a massive predator, Crocodylus thorbjarnarsoni. One of the largest crocodiles to ever exist, it stretched up to 25 feet long, basically a scaly submarine with teeth. Like modern crocodiles, it had a black belt at stealth, lying almost fully submerged with only its eyes and nostrils above water. It struck with an explosive burst of speed at 12 to 15 meters per second. That's about 3 to 4 times faster than the average person can blink, and faster than your brain can even process what's happening. By the time your survival instincts kicked in, it was already over. And if you thought staying on land made you safer, think again. This beast could haul itself out of the water and sprint up to 10 to 12 kilometers per hour in short bursts, about as fast as a human jog, but coming from a 25-foot reptile with bone-crushing jaws. So no, you weren't even safe away from the water. There's no doubt, this crocodile played a massive real role in shaping early humans' fear of what lurks in the deep sea, or virtually any water body. Fossils from Kenya's Turkana Basin show bite marks on hominin bones that match the size and pattern of a massive croc, likely Crocodylus thorbjarnarsoni or its relatives. And this wasn't the only fossil clue whispering the origins of Thalassophobia. It was just one chapter in a much older, bloodier story written in bones. In the early 20th century, a team of archaeologists excavating an ancient shell mound came across some human remains. At first glance, it was just another burial among many, a young man laid to rest over 3,000 years ago during Japan's Jomon period. But something was wrong. His bones were covered in trauma, deep, sharp gouges, hundreds of them. His left hand was missing. Portions of both legs were gone. In general, he had over 790 wounds. The position of the cuts told another story. He had tried to defend himself. His arms bore the marks of struggle. Some wounds looked like he'd been spinning or dragged. The bones of his ribcage were torn open. At first, researchers considered warfare or ritual violence. but the pattern didn't match. There were no tools or weapons that could cause this kind of damage, not human ones anyway. So they looked somewhere else, the sea. The Tsukumo shell mound sits near what was once a coastal lagoon. The people of the Jomon period were skilled fishers. They knew the ocean well, but the ocean had predators. Bite mark analysis pointed to a single conclusion. This man had been attacked by a shark, and not just any shark. Judging by the bite radius and shape, the likely culprit was a tiger shark. Tiger sharks date back over 15 million years to the Middle Miocene, 5 times older than Homo sapiens, and they're still here. That's millions of years of uninterrupted, living Thalassophobia. Up to 5.5 meters long and weighing anywhere from 700 to 2,000 pounds. Tiger sharks are basically built like a torpedo. Dense muscle, low drag, and a vertical tail fin that delivers explosive bursts of speed, up to 32 kilometers per hour in short strikes. And not to mention, this is what they're biting with. They also have sensors that detect the electric fields of living things, make hiding almost impossible for anyone or anything. The bite force? Up to 6,000 newtons, enough to snap a sea turtle's shell like a cracker. What makes it worse? It twists its head as it bites, sawing through muscle and tendon with unimaginable strength. This guy is nature's original architect of thalassophobia, spreading the fear of the deep long before we even had a word for it. Kindly like the video if you enjoyed it, and as always, I'm DM. See you in the next one.